Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to fix up a few bugs that we have just made as we're writing the application. And that's okay because, as I said in the previous video, it's a pretty large and complex app that we wrote, and things like this you will miss here and there, and that's okay. So it's all part of software development. If you do make mistakes, do not worry about it. The one way in which you can avoid making mistakes is by writing tests first and then writing your code, so that if you make any mistakes, your tests will catch it. So that's actually known as test-driven development. But it's sometimes very difficult to write tests for things that don't yet exist. So those are the trade-offs. In this case, it was also not something I was focusing on. I wasn't focusing on teaching you test-driven development, which is why I just basically wrote everything. And things you miss at times. So do not worry about it. We're going to fix it all right now. It's actually not very bad. So we are going to fix them one by one. The first thing is that in our Sudoku board displayer, we don't need to say write line. We need to say write. Because if we do this, then for each and every row, we're going to print a new line. And we don't want to do that. We want to just write, one column for each row. And then when the row ends, we're going to print up a new line and go over to the next line, and that's going to look like there is a new row, right? So that's number one. Number two, go to naked pairs strategy. Actually, we changed the name, but sometimes the file name doesn't change, so actually let's go ahead and do that as well. Naked pair, so you can just rename that, and pairs, and then enter, and that should do the trick. So here you see we did not end the line, so we just have to put a semicolon. So that's that. As I said, pretty minor stuff, but you miss it from here and from time to time when it's a pretty large application. So then we need to go to simple Sudoku strategy. This one is a bit more serious because it's actually a logic problem. And one thing we missed here is, see here, this has to be less than or equal to. Because we need to we can either say less than plus 3, or we need to say, if we want to say plus 2, we need to say at least include that last one. So we're going to 3 over, right? We're going to go 3 over. And, not 3 over, we're going to go 2 over, but there has to be greater than 3 so that we stop at that line. So if we start from 0, right, we're going to go 1 and then 2. And if this is 1 and 2, the start row is 0. And if we have it like this, then it's only going to go 0 and then 1. And it's going to stop there. So it's going to go 0 and 1. And then the 2 will never be hit because, this is going to be, the moment this is 2, it's going to say, well, 2 is not less than 2, so, I'm not going to do that. But the moment you say greater than or equal to, it's going to say 0, 1, 2. 2 is still fine. It's inclusive, right? Or you can say plus 3. But in this case, plus 2 because you don't want to go above the bounds. So plus 2 and less than or equal to. So that's the other thing that we missed. So a few more things. It's in the naked pair strategy. So if you come here, you will see one thing if you scroll down a little bit, to eliminate naked pair from others in block. Actually here, I forgot to put an equal sign here. So it has to once again be inclusive, just like the one we had with the simple markup strategy, the bug that we fixed here. The same one was for this guy. So it has to basically include the plus 2. So that was just, just like a miss. So that was one of them. The other one is we need to take this out, the not, because for whatever reason that just got there. And now it's going to read that if it's not the same element, it's in the same block, and it is a naked pair, then we want to say that it is a naked pair. That just makes sense, right? If it is a naked pair, then we want to say true. If it's not a naked pair, why are we saying true? So that was one bug. I think it might have been a copy paste issue or something like that, but we just need to take that out, and that'll fix that bug. And the other one is an actual copy paste issue where we, in our has pair in row, remember that? For the same one in column, we need to use 0. So the column, we need to use 0. and here as well. There you go. Another quick thing that I'd like to fix is the AND operator. So currently we're using a bitwise AND operator, and what I'm going to do is use a logical AND. So it's the two ANDs together, that's the logical one. Basically the difference is that this AND will short circuit, meaning that if one of them is not satisfying the condition, so if let's say this one is false and this was on the front, right here, then the rest of them wouldn't run. But I mean, in this case, it doesn't really matter whether I have it like this or like that, because if any of these fail, then it's not going to get to this anyways. And if these two pass, then whether it's logical or bitwise, it's going to get here anyways. But it's just good to keep it consistent, so I'm going to use the logical AND operator as opposed to bitwise. And this is the one that we went over anyways, so it's just good to keep it consistent with all the lessons. But that's it for this one. That should do it. And we are looking good with all the rest of our changes. You know, we can also take this one down because this is kind of like a very specific helper method, so we can just put it right here. And other than that, we're looking good and we're ready to move on with our program. And once again, you know, if you are making mistakes whenever you're writing applications that are complex, you can start writing tests and then write the program, but there are times where you just can't do that. And so, you know, mistakes will happen. You just need to learn how to debug and figure out the mistakes. And there's going to be a whole another course on how to debug issues and figure that out, because that's actually what you're going to be doing as a developer more often than not. Like, that's going to be 80% of the stuff that you're going to be doing, because writing new stuff is fun, but then you have to maintain that stuff. So this is kind of like giving you this real world view to what you need to deal with. But that's it for now.